Humanity is on the verge of extinction as the gods are blaming them for the deterioration of their home planet. They think that humanity is unworthy of a continued existence. However, a Valkyrie known as Brunhilde sides with humankind and proposes a Ragnarok, where gods and the greatest human warriors from history duke it out. If the gods have the most wins at the end, they destroy humanity, and if they don't, humanity lives. Brunhilde also goes above and beyond with the help of the other Valkyrie to give humans a decent shot at fighting gods, because humans simply can't fight divine beings without divine powers. In fact, the Valkyrie lay their lives on the line for the human warriors. Of course, the stakes aren't as high for the gods, as they're only fighting for ego, while the stakes are extremely high for humanity and whoever sides with them. During such a dire situation, mankind finds light at the end of the tunnel when a god sides with humans. And this god is Buddha. He betrays the other gods and chooses to fight against them instead of fighting for them. But why would he do something like this? In this video, we'll break down all the reasons to help you understand why Buddha takes such a big risk. Buddha's ultra-cool character design, portrayal, and personality, and the facade it creates. Record of Ragnarok has a tendency to play on established themes across religion and mythology by exaggerating it. For example, we all know of Adam, or the first man, being created in God's image. The story takes inspiration from this and gives Adam the ability to mimic and reflect the movements of the god he's opposing. Coming to Buddha, he's the one who has given up on all worldly desires and attained nirvana. In this state, a person's individual pain, desires, and suffering vanishes. As one attains nirvana, they are able to leave samsara, or the cycle of reincarnation, which is the end goal for every soul according to Buddhism. Buddha has, quite obviously, left samsara. The story plays upon the trope of him leaving his personal baggage behind and attaining enlightenment, representing Buddha as a very cool young man. He's a relaxed and happy-go-lucky guy. He also doesn't possess an enormous ego, unlike the Greek gods, which is only fitting for his character and personality. He's always seen with his lollipop, enjoying his candies, while sporting gold-framed glasses that only make him cooler. He is also very confident in his powers and abilities and believes that he can defeat Zeus, although Zeus has been established as the strongest god since he's the chairman of the Valhalla Council. Because Buddha is independent and confident, he does what he wishes to and doesn't allow anyone else to dictate his actions. The seeds for Buddha's eventual betrayal are sown around a week before the council where the gods decide the fate of humanity. Brunhilde meets with Buddha and asks him about the Buddhist concept of common destiny. The principle basically talks about two people forfeiting their lives and putting them on the same lotus to realize one's full potential. Buddha explains this concept to her, and thus the concept of Volander is born, which basically allows Valkyrie to bond her life and soul with that of a human warrior, making him capable of defeating a god. Later, Buddha is placed on the roster of gods who will fight one of the humans in Ragnarok following the voting of the gods against humanity. He's assigned to fight in the 6th round, but before that, Loki begins to smell something funny. He goes backstage to meet Buddha as he realizes how Volander is similar to Buddha's common destiny. This makes him suspicious as he thinks Buddha has betrayed the gods. Eventually, a fight begins to brew between Buddha, Loki, and the 7 gods of fortune. Zeus and Odin bring an end to it as they chastise the gods for fighting among themselves. And while the other gods start to grow nervous due to Odin's presence, Buddha continues to not care. Zeus also warns Buddha, which makes him laugh as he states, "The only one that can move me on heaven or earth is me." While Valhalla seems to be shaken due to the Ragnarok that will decide the fate of humanity, Buddha is pretty happy minding his own business. He isn't out and about belittling mankind like the other gods, and he's not losing his mind over aiding the gods on the occasion of their loss against humans. At face value, it seems to be the result of Buddha having attained nirvana, the gods' desire for their victory and the annihilation of mankind. But according to Buddha, desire is the cause of all suffering, and he's free from both. Based on this, it's easy for us to assume why Buddha is so calm in the face of mankind's possible destruction. But that's not the case. Buddha's attitude in Record of Ragnarok has less to do with him becoming a Buddha and more to do with the personality he has always possessed. Buddha's betrayal comes as a miracle for humanity. Buddha, like Heracles and Brunhilde, believes in humanity, and while Heracles fought for the gods, Buddha intends to betray them. Prior to the 6th round, Zeus had shown up in front of him while he was merely eating chocolates and asked him to fight in the next round. At that time, the gods had a 3-2 lead over humanity, with Zeus, Thor, and Shiva taking the win against their respective opponents. On the other hand, Poseidon had lost to Kojiro Sasaki, and Heracles had lost to Jack the Ripper. Buddha wanted to know why Zeus was desperate to destroy humanity, and learned that it was because Zeus didn't like to lose. This mindset was also very much against the teaching teachings of Buddhism, which reaffirmed Buddha's belief in humanity. He hugged Zeus and headed out to fight. In the arena, he shows up as a warrior of the gods while chewing bubblegum. However, the Buddhist monks supporting him sit with the human audience as they are human beings, and they are seen praying for Buddha to not aid the destruction of humanity. However, Buddha soon walks to the side of the humans and announces that he will be fighting for humanity. The gods are astonished by this betrayal, but Buddha silences the god audience and tells them that if the gods don't save humanity, he'll do it himself and kill any god who gets in his way. Fortunately, Buddha is able to defeat his opponent, Zirofuku, and equalize the score for humanity. This is an extremely big deal because, for starters, humanity had started Ragnarok with a score of 2-0, with them having 0 wins. The morale grew substantially after Kojiro and Jack the Ripper won as the score became 2-2. Tides turned towards the gods once again after Raiden lost to Shiva and the gods took the lead. Throughout it all, humanity was also much more terrified of having to fight the gods for their survival because they were literally fighting all-powerful gods. A god siding with them and fighting for them not only helped by equalizing the score to 3-3, it also strengthened their fate as they had Buddha by their side, vouching for them and fighting for them. The entire fiasco depicts how Buddha takes a stand against the authorities who create concrete structures to determine the destinies of others. Humanity's fate should be left to the humans and not the gods. But why does Buddha feel this way? For this, we need to refer to his history in Record of Ragnarok as well as in the real world. The reasons why Buddha's betrayal is 100% justified. So why does Buddha betray the gods? For starters, Buddha himself was born human. Let's go over his origin in the story to understand this better. Hailing from Kapilavastu in ancient central Nepal, Buddha used to be known as Gautama Siddhartha. He used to be a human prince who was born in the lap of royal luxuries. He had access to the finest food, best garments, the highest standards of living, social statuses, and education. Sometime during his infancy, his father was told by a fortune teller that Siddhartha would become a great and respected leader in the future, becoming the greatest among humanity. Time flew by and Siddhartha became an adolescent. One day, he visited his distant relative, King Jataka in Mala, which was in modern-day North India, as the latter was bedridden due to his illness while death was knocking on his door. Mala had prospered greatly under King Jataka's reign, with its people living happy lives, and Siddhartha considered Jataka to be a person who had lived a successful life. However, Jataka disagreed with him, as he believed his entire life had been dictated by those above him since his birth. He was born to rule his nation and never got the chance to explore the wide world. This struck a nerve within Siddhartha, who eventually realized he had been living a similar life all along. So he began to seek a life where he carved out his own path with his own will and attained his own destiny instead of following in the footsteps laid by others for him to fill. This meant that he had to give up on becoming the ruler of his kingdom. Following Jataka's funeral ceremony, Siddhartha placed his coffin in a river stream and let it flow, so that in his death, Jataka could explore the world. At that time, his actions were considered to be shocking to the others, as he had broken a long laid out tradition despite being a prince. After this, Siddhartha gave up on his royal status, his wife, his son, and all of his material possessions and set out into the wilderness. He traveled alone and got the opportunity to learn about other religions. Naturally, he came across the religious concept of human sacrifices, where humans killed other humans to please the gods and get their blessings in return. Siddhartha opposed such traditions, as innocent beings were being harmed for the sake of the gods, and stated that if the gods truly had the intention to hurt innocents, he would stand against them and take them on. This tells us that Buddha stood against the gods from the very beginning. Eventually, he founded his own religion, Buddhism, which focused on attaining nirvana and leaving samsara, and as we know, became a Buddha himself. Buddha then dedicated his days to helping other humans in finding enlightenment, and people who began to follow him proved to be happier than the average person. We saw this after Zirofuku was introduced, as he could take on the sufferings of humans, but this wouldn't do anything to stop these people from being selfish. This was primarily because these people never let go of their desires, and as a result were always prone to suffering. If you took away their pain now, it would be replaced by new pain in the future. Zirofuku was disappointed at this, but astonished to see how Buddha's followers were so happy. Buddha answered this by saying that happiness was not something one could give to others. Instead, it was something to be attained by oneself. With the concept of this inner happiness, we see why Buddha is so carefree while in Valhalla. He gets a seat on the council because he has attained divinity, but despite being one of the gods, he is fundamentally on the side of humanity. That's just who he is. The human warriors in Ragnarok are also picked out from the greatest men in human history, and Gautama Buddha is one of the greatest men from real-world history, so his siding with humanity makes sense not just within the framework of the original lore, but also within how the story of Record of Ragnarok works. The monks who support him are not gods in the god audience, but humans in the human audience. Naturally, his betrayal was inevitable. In real-world history, Buddhism is an agnostic religion where higher powers are considered to exist, but Buddhists don't believe in the existence of a supreme god who created the universe. Gods or devas exist in their own realm, but they are also not considered to be perfect beings, as the devas enjoy lives of pure bliss and, as a result, develop attachments to their blissful lives, making it hard for them to leave samsara. In fact, because humans from the human realm live lives that encompass all emotions with a balance between pain and joy, it's easiest for a human to become a Buddha, much more so than a deva or a god. Although the show doesn't allude to these things, this should give us a little more insight into why Buddha chose to side with humanity in the story. We see why Heracles believes in humanity, as he was a half-human who later attained godhood. He understands humanity and wishes the best for them. However, he has no choice but to fight for the gods. Buddha, however, was completely human. He understands humanity better than any other god in Valhalla, and as a result, he's got better judgment. He's the only one who has seen both sides to their fullest. According to Buddhism, a Buddha is considered to be above God, because to become a Buddha means to escape samsara. Buddha opposes the gods outright, not just in the versus match, but even beyond that. This choice means that even if the gods win in the Record of Ragnarok, it does not necessarily signal the end of humanity, because Buddha is likely to intervene or bring an end to the madness. Marvelous verdict! The anime actually ended with Buddha's fight against Zirofuku, and everything beyond that has yet to be animated. And although things do get crazier in the manga, ending the anime with a cliffhanger where a god fights for humanity has to be a perfect choice, as it builds more interest for what's about to come. Who do you think's gonna win the Record of Ragnarok? Let us know in the comment section down below, and in the meantime, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.